Okay, wonderful. All right, so just a little refresher about what we're going to do today together, because as I said previously, this is not a method that I use in the one-on-one sessions, private sessions, and when I work with the deepest possible level of trance, and often the person doesn't remember anything and they go out. So obviously we can't do that with a group because of the being a virtual space, and also, you know, so there's going to be like a lighter trance level, just similar to what we did with the past regression. Now, why is it lighter trance? Is because I want you to remember everything, what you're seeing, perceiving, and you can write it down. To make sure that you've got your notebook nearby as well, something to write on, because otherwise it's, you know, it's like a dream and you may forget it quite quickly. So this is intended to be a fun exercise in a way as well. Excuse me, because often things that we may see might be kind of strange, especially with this one, something unusual, something you might not be familiar with. You know, we find the information and, you know, that might be odd, or, and then, again, there's no need to analyze it, just go with it, okay? And so today we're going to be doing a future life progression, which we're going to go to the future. And again, we'll utilize the visualization. And as you know, it's not that difficult. You know, some people say, you know, I don't know how to visualize. Usually it's because it's the misconception about what that is. So again, you're not going to be seeing with your physical eyes, it's with your inner mind. And it's the same like if you remember the event that happened in your life, an important day, a wedding, funeral, graduation, meeting your loved one, you know, things like that, seeing and happening in your mind, and you can recall that event. So we'll be working with that part of the mind today. And again, it's going to the past life or future life. It's the same like pulling the memory out to the surface. So it's working like that. And again, there's many different ways to get the information. You know, if you're not seeing something, just go with whatever comes. Maybe you will hear something. Maybe you have an emotional reaction, a feeling. You know, some people usually have a feeling, more a feeling than a seeing, or like a thought form. So if that happens, just trust. However, it's going to come into your mind. But you know, the majority of you will be able to see the pictures, or it might be like a movie even. And even if it's something silly, it doesn't make sense, just don't stop, don't try to figure it out. Just go with it and allow it to continue to flow. Okay? Because the minute we try to figure out, try to analyze it, you know, am I doing this right? Does it make sense? You know, we're switching to that left side of the brain when it interrupts the process with working with alpha and theta brain waves. So yeah, so just really allow, again, without any judgment, with kindness. You can be an observer if you want to, just like before. You know, you've done it before already with me, so you already are familiar with it. And yeah, just allow yourself for the information to flow. We won't be doing any activation exercises because you're already ready for that. And again, as we go into the future, we won't be going to the future in this life because that can be not so beneficial for people to know. And again, you are the creators of your future. So you know, sometimes, if, you know, if, for example, if we go, you know, if we went 5 years into the future, what's happening, you know, sometimes it might be like, what if you're not here, for example? So we want to make sure that everybody can handle the information that comes through. Okay. Yeah, we want to make sure that we're safe. And yeah, so we're going to be doing something different. So we're going to go into the future, not necessarily in this life, and we're going to have a choice. Okay, so you can go either 100 years, 200 years, or 300 years into the future. So it's your choice. Presumably, you know, you won't be around 100 years from now, so it's safe to say whatever you see is not going to be right now, right? So, but usually people see very interesting things, and quite often in groups like that, some of you will go to the same time and space as well. So it will be nice to share a few things that you experience, just to see what's familiar, and that might be interesting for you to you know, to find out. Right. So don't take it too seriously anyway. As I said, you know, you get some information, take a little bit of fun, and it may or may not be your next life in the future. It might be somewhere, it might be someone else's life in the future as well. So again, there's nothing to analyze. Just really allow the process to to unfold the way it wants to unfold. Okay, so make yourself comfortable and take a few deep breaths. A few deep breaths, just to slowing down, getting ready for this interesting exercise. Just allowing the breath for its organic rhythm. There's no need to control it. Just allow it for it to be what it wants to be. And relax as much as you can. Close your eyes and just follow my voice. Anything apart from my voice, anything that is part of your journey, will just be background noise. Won't interrupt you, disturb you, won't bother you at all. Become just part of the background. And that is very, very good. And as you move deeper and deeper with every breath you take, go deeper and deeper within. Then you can feel it, how you're dropping in further and further. Just relaxing even more. And this time, I want you to imagine standing at the foot of a very tall staircase. Standing at the foot of a very tall staircase. The stairs are marble steps. They are very wide and deep, so that when you walk up the steps, you have to stop at each step. Wide and deep marble steps. They go up to a platform. Walk up these marble steps. slowly, gradually, step by step, wide and deep marble steps, up and up toward a platform. Up and up. And you're coming close and closer up to the platform. Wide and deep marble steps. Wide and deep marble steps. Very good. And now you have reached the top of the marble staircase. You're standing on a platform at the top of the stairs. On this platform are 3 doors. The door to your left has a 1 on it, which means the 1 on the door means 100 years into the future. Pay attention to the details of that door, what it looks like, shape and color, anything you may perceive, maybe a feeling as well. The second door directly in front of you has a number 2 on it. And the 2 means 200 years into the future. And again, be curious about that door, what it feels like. And the door to your right has a number 3 on it, which signifies 300 years into the future. Feel that door. Pay attention about that door too. You can move a little bit away from the doors, look at them from a distance, and choose the door that you want to go through. 1, 2, or 3. Now that you have chosen the door you want to go through, stand in front of it. Notice what else you may notice about that door. And when you're ready, open that door. And when you open that door, you see a dense, thick fog in front of you. A dense, thick fog. Step into that fog. Step into the fog. Feel it as you're stepping in, being in it. All the sensations. And now move through the fog, gradually at your own pace. And as you walk through the fog, you feel your present day body dissolving and becoming part of that fog, becoming one with the fog, as if you have no body at all. Move through the fog, And as you do, it begins to dissipate. It begins to fade to where you'll be able to step out and out of it. The fog is dissipating and fading away, fading away. And now you're coming out of the fog, to your own place. You find yourself in a different body. Become aware of this body. What is it like? Pay attention to every detail. What else can you notice about this body? Curious about it. Check it all out. Color, shape, whatever comes, whatever you're able to perceive. And now, look around. Look around and see where you are. Become aware of your surroundings. Are you inside or are you outside? Be curious, pay attention to all the details. Become aware of your surroundings. Close and at the distance. And now go to the place where you live, where you eat and sleep, if you do those things, and see what that place looks like. The place where you reside, live, spend most of the time, where you exist. And when you go inside this place where you live, become aware if there's anybody else there. Is there anyone there who lives with you? If there is, you can tell if they're related to you or if there is any connection between you. Pay attention to what they look like. And what they feel like. How do you perceive them? What's your relationship with them? If they or you want to communicate with each other, you can do it now. All right. And now go and see what it is that you do. Do you have a job or an occupation? Something that you do with your time? Whatever it is that you do, see yourself doing whatever it is. What are you using to do what you do? How are you involved with the activity? Who else is involved? If there is anybody else involved in it. Okay, very good. Now leave that scene, and move forward to an important day. A day when something is happening that you consider to be important. You've gone forward to an important day. What are you doing? What do you see, perceive, look around? What makes this day, time important? Be curious, what else is happening? Who is involved? What is involved? What are the surroundings, circumstances, sensations? All right. And now leave that scene. Close that scene and leave that scene and move forward to another important day. A day when something else is happening that you consider to be important. Another important day. You there now. What's happening now? What do you see? And you won't have any discomforts. Just look around. Pay attention to all the details. Be curious. Is this what's really happening? Or is there something deeper that's behind all of that? See clearer and clearer. What is happening? Oh, Now let's leave that scene. Let's leave that scene and move forward to the last day of your life. In this future life, we're looking at the last day of that life. You can see what happens to you on that day. It won't bother you at all to look at it. And again, you can look at it as an observer if you want to. So the last day of your life in that lifetime, and you're there now. What's happening? What do you perceive? You won't have any discomforts. You can be an observer. What makes it the last day? Who else is around? If there's anyone or anything. Pay attention to all the details. Now, whatever has happened has already happened, and you are on the other side of it. You're on the other side of it. From that perspective, you can also look back at that entire life and see it from that different perspective. Every life has a purpose and a lesson. So as you look back at that life, what are you learning from it? What's important to remember? And what was the purpose of that life? All right. Now we're closing that scene, moving away from that scene, floating and drifting to another place, another time, drifting and floating, finding yourself where you need to go, next, and you're there now. Be curious, very curious where you are, what's around. Look at your body, be curious, investigate it. Don't have to have any discomforts. You can just watch it if you want to. What's happening? Where are you? And what's important about being in this particular time and place? Is there anybody around? If there are, you'll be able to see them clearly now. Pay attention to the details. You can ask them their name, if they have a name, or feel the name. And since they're there, what message have they got for you? Something they want to tell you. You can hear it now. Even if you don't always listen, they have a message, something they want to tell you. Listen to what they have to say. It's time to finish that short meeting as well. You can say a farewell, gratitude for the message, for being there. And we're closing that scene as well, moving away from that scene, floating and drifting, floating and drifting. Now going to turn around and locate the fog again. Big, dense fog. Back into the place where the fog is there and the door behind it. We're going to move to where you find that dense, thick fog again. And as you walk back into the fog, you feel yourself, the present day body, forming again around you. This present day body is back around you. You're in that body. You're moving toward the door that you came in. You recognize that door. You can find the door that you came in and open the door gradually, slowly, coming out of the future. You're out on the other side. You can see the steps back to this room where you are. Now you can come down those wide, deep marble steps back into the room, into the place where you are physically in this present body. You can come down faster than you went up. And now you're back in this room, remembering everything that you saw and experienced so that you're able to write it down. I'm going to count to 5, and on the count of 5, you'll be wide awake, feeling wonderful all over, remembering everything that you saw. 1, 2, you're beginning to breathe a little faster, your body circulating faster, because you were aware of your body. You're back here in this time, in this place, because you're beginning to wake up now. 3, 4, very much aware of the people around you or the place around you. You know your space, you know you're back here in this time, in this place. And if there's others around you, you're able to perceive them. You're very much aware of your physical surroundings because you're back here in this time, in this place, and you're waking up. 3, 4, 5, 5, wide awake, feeling wonderful all over. Remembering what you saw so you can write it all down. Back here. So take about 2-minute, 3-minute pause to allow to write it all down. Just take a moment to write things down before we come back to the circle and share whatever anybody wishes to share. Take a moment to write it all down. The beginning, the body, what the body looked like. Maybe even the door, what the door looked like. What you were doing, your place. Just write it all down. And the first day, the important day that you move to. Who was there with you? And the second important day that you move towards. And finally, the last day of that life. Its purpose, its lessons. And the last scene where you met someone, if there was anybody, or the space that you went to and your body. Take one more minute and return to the circle. If you want, you can unmute yourselves, and whoever wishes to share. I just saw like your chat message about longevity. That's a good one. Yes. Okay. So who would love to share? I'd love to hear which door you chose and what you saw experience behind them.
Well, I mean, if no one's going to go, I'll go. This was a lot more pleasant than the last one, because in the last one, I remember I was at the train station.
Yes.
I was captured by the Nazis, taken to a room and questioned, and brought out to this area where I was shot. This one was a lot nicer.
Mm-hmm. Which door did you choose?
100 years.
100, yes.
I was a woman with long, straight black hair, dressed in white.
Yes.
Material seemed to fit the time, I guess. I don't know, that's how I felt. The house was a glass house, no less. And all the windows had white frames around them.
Good.
And there was this man standing next to me, and we went to meditate together, and then got married, and then I had a baby. And then when I died, my spiritual master took me across the river. And then in the next life, I was a 12-year-old Indian boy playing with other Indian boys at an ashram. The head of the ashram was there. He had a white beard and white hair, and he was sitting in a lotus position with a big smile on his face.
Yes.
The end.
Yes. I'm curious, thank you for sharing, and I'm curious about others, if whoever chose the 100 years door, because usually behind that door, their lives on this planet. So, yeah, has anybody else chose 100? Yes, Linda, did you?
I chose 100, and it was like a mountainous area, which I found that very surprising because I've always wanted to be by the ocean instead, but it was more like the Alps. But I was the one there because I did what Ile was talking about, and I lived that long.
Right. Good job. Yes.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
it was a little, I don't know if I was retro or it was more defiance, because when I went to see what I was doing,
Yes.
it was a typewriter. A typewriter was what I was using to write with. And I'm like, well, that I sure don't like. So that was a little like, come on, really? So it was funny.
Yeah. And did anybody see yourselves like in space, or ETs, or people in outer space on spaceships and things like that? Because that happens a lot when we go into the future. Oops.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that. I mean, the thing would be the sky was different. Like there was more planets that you could actually see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that there was, so it could have been that it wasn't on this planet. It could have been that that was the reason why I was, I mean, because the sky was a different configuration.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's, it happens a lot when we go into the future, and that's why I don't say much about the body as well, because you can be anything, you can pick anything, and so a lot of people see themselves also as ETs, or on a spaceship, or other planets, or see planets blowing up and all kinds of things, Yeah. Usually it's in the door, in another door, not one, but yeah. Anybody else? Jason, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I saw myself as was a bipedal creature with a toad-like skin, and with like not warts, but you know, like how toads look. With I looked down on my feet. I don't know how many toes I had, but there was like a big split, kind of like that.
Oh yes,
I
yes.
don't remember the rest. And my eyeballs were like projected out of my head a little bit, like kind of like a toad, but I didn't think about it until later. I was trying not to think about anything, but
yeah.
And then, but they were big, you know, like kind of like a Star Wars creature.
And which door did you choose, Jason?
Well, I was pretty sure I was going to choose the 300, but the 200 appeared
Yes.
most interesting.
Yes, and
So
that's usually what happens with 200 with extraterrestrials. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. The door number 3 usually happens some abstract thing like you with the source, or it depends, but that's what usually in groups happens. So I'm keen to hear, you know, your experiences. That's why, because you know, yeah. What so what were you doing as that creature? Like,
Well, I wasn't as present as I would like to be for this. I was kind of sleepy, so it was kind of in and out. But I was psychically communicating with a rhinoceros type of being, which was somehow a translator. It's like I couldn't reach the other person directly, psychically for some reason, but I was communicating psychically with this rhinoceros-like creature who was translating what I was saying to some other creature. That's what I was doing at that time.
Yeah. Thanks.
And then I was walking around a city with a spatula. and the conclusion was, well, there's no music and I needed to go around and hit, I don't know. It's kind of pretty out there.
Yes. That's one. And so what about does anybody seen something that has happened on Earth, like a catastrophe of some kind? You know, some people see also. Yes, Eli?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think what I said in the comments about living 100 more years, I think that kind of colored my thing, because so I got up to the doors, and well, one thing I noticed that was kind of interesting is the doors themselves all looked the same, and they all just had slightly different door frames. And to me, that made it feel like the doors were all the same, the frames were different, but the doors were all the same because time is like, right, a little bit. I mean, it's basically not linear, right? Yeah. So, and honestly, my heart wanted to go into the first door, but then I thought about, I didn't want to mess anything up. So I went into door 2. And I was pretty surprised. I came to an apartment building. And I came to, and I saw from, I guess, a first person perspective, like a woman, I don't know, maybe in her 30s or something, a little bit darker complexion than me, and like getting out of the shower, looking at her face in the mirror. And I guess, why I wanted to share after you said that is because the funniest part to me is, like, I didn't really get a clear view out the window, but just from looking at the apartment and just like a little glance out of like a slice of the window, it seemed more like contemporary Europe. You know what I mean? Like maybe Copenhagen or Germany, something like that.
Right.
And I was kind of surprised, but then I thought about how there are cities where people have lived for thousands of years. So that's perfectly plausible. Yeah.
Yes. And so what was the purpose of that life?
It seemed to me that this person, again, I feel like I might be projecting, but it seemed to me that this person was a farmer of some type. Because what was it, the second, like the important day, was the same woman, different house though, more kind of like out in the desert, or like when you look out the window, you just saw kind of like almost kind of like Marsy. It could be like Sedona. It could be like, you know, in the American Midwest or somewhere, you know. But inside, I was like in this greenhouse structure, where like one side, it was probably like south or west facing, right? It was all windows and big high ceilings. And there was like plants growing from the ground. It was like a ground cover, and then set back was like the living quarters. So it was like kind of a greenhouse into a living room.
Was that greenhouse
was,
like a dome shape or?
It was almost like a triangle. Like this would be the windows, and then a long back, yeah, with the residence. And it was, I just remember being, it was like either it was an important harvest day. It was time to go and harvest and get ready for market and things of that nature.
Very interesting. Thank you. And has anybody experienced themselves being like in between lives, or somewhere like after transitioning from the life somewhere else?
For me, I didn't see anything. So I don't know. Maybe I slept a bit and
yeah. Well, you can do that one. We're recording this one, so you can do that later on again and see what comes through. Because it's easy to go deep. Sounds like you're very susceptible to that work. So yeah. Awesome. Yeah, Denise?
Mine is really interesting. It's so weird. When I went to the steps, I was like in a big judge, or what was like a neoclassical building. Yeah, like something like that. And then there were 3 doors. The first one, 100 years, was like a Harry Potter door. I wanted to go there, but no, so let me check. And then the second door was so cold. I don't like it at all. It's like steel. That's like a prison. I didn't go there. And then the third door was like a Star Trek door open. And so I went there. And when I went outside, it was so surprising because I found myself in a man's body again. I was like, oh, not again. I want to be a woman. But so I was like a handsome, really dashing man. But the thing here that surprised me so much was I was wearing like a Roman soldier's clothes, like leathers. So what the heck? I'm in war again. That was what I think. Oh no, not again. But it surprised me because I lived in a forest, and I saw my house. There was a spring there, and a house was like a hobbit house, something like that, and it was protruding out of a mountain. So I went inside. The inside was so big, and I found out that I was like a craftsman because we were not living technologically. We're like reliving the old times. So I was like a scientist craftsman of some sort, and very playful. I create like costumes from the old times, like swords and stuff like that. And there was my wife there and my 2 sons. And my wife I recognize as my best friend in this life, and one of my sons was my sister, and the other one I don't know. So go through the important thing, right? There we had like a council meeting because we are like a small group of people living like that in the forest, and they were like talking about, oh, there's a war coming. Again, war again. So what the heck? And then and I was there. I said, no, we don't have to engage, because I'm like a scientist, architect, some creative something. So I said, you know what? We can just camouflage ourselves. We can camouflage ourselves. I can create stuff like, like high. Oh, and we were like breatharians. We were just living on juice and stuff. So
Right.
And so I told them, come on, let's meditate, let's raise our frequency so they don't find us. So we created like a force field of invisibility shield or something like that. So when the forces came, they couldn't find us. It's so weird. And then so that passed on, and to my last life, I was surrounded by my family and almost everybody in the village, and they were just singing, and it was a happy event. It's not a sad event. It was a really happy event, and I was surrounded, and it was like so good. And then the next life after that, okay, now I'm a woman. In a I don't know what my it's like it's not a spacesuit, but it's a very skinny, like Catwoman. But I know it's I was a scientist, and I was in a cliff facing the ocean, and on my right there was like a flying car, something like that, and then inside was my boyfriend, and we were together, and he just keeps on telling me, we have to find the cure, we have to find the cure. I don't know what it is. So there might be another disease or whatever. And that's what we're looking for in those places. We were looking for herbs or whatever that could cure humanity or something. So that was interesting. So another war, but now I'm not in it. Yeah,
Thank you
that's
so
it.
much for sharing. That
Thank you.
sounds amazing. Yeah, and I just
Yes,
want
it
to comment
is.
because quite often, not in the Pranic groups, but in other groups that I run, a lot of people see like chaos and catastrophe on the earth. And then with this Pranic groups and some individuals, there's something has happened on earth and the air, and they can't grow food anymore, and then they see themselves in these other cities, kind of like maybe dome cities, some futuristic cities, where or on spaceships, and they're growing food, in the absence of gravity. And the same, sometimes people actually see lives underwater, in undersea laboratories, when they're harvesting food from the sea, for the earth, for people on earth, because they can't grow food anymore. So it's really interesting, how we've had a variety of different lives and different scenes. Yeah, and I'm wondering, anybody experience anything like not tangible, not physical, like where there was no body, like no physical body or nothing that to connect with? Or anything else?
This is just a little snippet I forgot to mention
Yeah.
earlier, but it was related to that. The process of stepping through the door and into the smoke
Yeah.
was like, it felt like a leap of faith. Like I felt like when I took that step, like I felt a whole shiver down my body, and I just kind of had to let go into the fog, and then yeah.
Yeah, good one. Thanks for sharing, Eli. Anybody else wants to share before I finish? Share in the sharing circle later as well if you want to. It's all right. There's no obligation to share. All right. Well, thank you so very much. That has been recorded, so we'll share that with you in a moment when it's uploaded. And we'll have a little bit of an hour break, and we see each other for the last breathing practice together during this process and the sharing circle. All right. Thank you so very much. See you soon.